Stampin' friends, and welcome. I'm not live today, but thanks for being here and watching the recording, the replay. Today, I have a fun card using Cheers and Sips, which is an online exclusive. It's a sneak peek because it doesn't launch until May 6th. And here is the fun little card that we're going to make. Only we're going to change it up just a little bit. And we're going to do some embossing. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips about using this stamp set. My In Color Club is open, and you can find information in the description. We have 5 in colors, and they are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful colors. And so just a real quick, this would be like the 1 month subscription. If you subscribe for 5 months, my In Color club is from May to September, and you would receive package in the mail each month. And the 1st and the 5th month, you also receive a free gift from me. But again, all that is in the description. All right. Well, I am Terry Hartley at Rustic Barn Cards, independent Stampin' demonstrator from Southeast Iowa. I'm going to turn the camera down so we can start stamping. So you can find this in our online exclusive part of the store. And this does come as a suite, which just means if you want to buy all of it, there's a 1 number that you can put in, and it's called Celebratory Sips, I believe is the name of the entire suite. So I just want to really quickly show you what's in the suite. We're not going to use all of the items, but of course we're going to use some. So you have the stamp set, Cheers and Sips. Cheers, it's your day. Let's celebrate to you, to us. There's a line where you can actually, you can stamp these, or you could also write something. A couple of glasses, umbrella, ice cube, strawberry. It could be a lime or a lemon, and olives and cherry. Celery leaves, and then you have this little pick here. So you have stamps, and then you also have dies that are going to cut out your images. So you can stamp your glass, and then you can die cut it. And then this die here, it's a standalone die, which means there isn't a stamp that goes with it, but you can die cut this, and you can put it inside your glass to make it look like you have some liquid in there. Okay, now we're going to use this die today, and the little pick and the umbrella. So those are the 3 that we're going to use. And it comes with this beautiful holographic dots. Those pretty. And then the ribbon is gorgeous. It's gold. And it's nice and soft and kind of silky. And it also comes with 2 embossing folders. And the embossing folders is glass and garden embossing folders. And one is floral. And what I like about this is that these will fit in your mini embossing, cut and emboss machine. Okay. So, and then this beautiful paper. So, here you have glasses, different sizes, and then on the back side it's not quite as bright. So you have like really bright on the front, and then a little bit more not quite as bright on the back. It also has, there's also designer series paper that has flowers, and then you have some stripes on the back. So and here's some more with glasses. So you can cut these out with scissors. You can use your dies. You can use your die and use that to cut out a glass also. So you can do that. And then some, you'll just, if you want to use that, you can, can fussy cut. So, but I'm going to use this page to fussy cut a glass out for our card today. All right, let me go ahead. We'll just go ahead and get started. I'm going to bring in some scissors. And I want to use one that's a little bit taller. Okay, big piece out of the way. So I am just going to cut straight up, and I'm going to leave just a little white on the side. Now on my sample card, I rounded the edges, but I'm not going to on this one. And then we'll just see what we like the best. All right, I'm going to lay this aside. And I'm going to come in with our card base. And our card base is just a basic white thick 8.5 by 5.5, and I have it scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to burnish this with my bone folder. And then I'm going to come in with another piece of basic white, and this is 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to layer this on here. But first, before we do that, I'm going to add some things. So I'm going to bring in some Designer Series paper, and I've cut this is a square, and 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Now on my sample, here is my sample one. On my sample, I cut this at 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. So you notice this is going to go down a little bit farther on our basic white layer, and I decided that I would like this to go down just a little bit more. And then I'll tell you about those frames that we're going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in our adhesive, and we'll add some adhesive on the back of the Designer Series paper. I know, isn't this pretty too, with all the glasses? So I'm going to place this so I have a little bit of basic white showing at the top and the two sides. A little border around. I'm trying to get it as straight as I can. And then I have Pretty in Pink, and I have die cut this layer. It is a third from the largest, and what I have used are the textured note dies. The textured note dies, which you will find in our brand new annual catalog. But I love these dies. So again, I use the third from the largest, and then for the Pretty in Pink, and then I use the fourth from the largest to die cut the basic white. Now, a little tip: when you're die cutting these, if you do it at an angle, it is easier to go through the cut and emboss machine rather than placing it straight. So always, you can cut it, let it go through at an angle, and then you'll find better success with that. All right, well, let's go ahead and just add this to our card base, and then we can just start decorating the front of our card. Now, I have already stamped and cut out some images. So I have stamped, our little umbrella, And I did that and die cut that out in Daffodil Delight. And then I used this stamp and I used it and I stamped it in Lemon Lime Twist for our little. And then I didn't, you can stamp this, but I just used the die because if you stamp it, it will have a line through here, but I'm going to use a blend and color this. So there wasn't any reason that I really needed to do any stamping on that. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and bring in some dimensionals. We're going to pop this up. But I think before we do that, we're going to lay that aside, and we are going to go ahead and start layering from here. So I'm going to go ahead then and just adhere these two together. Just like that. And then we're going to do some stamping. So I'm going to bring in, we have 2 inks that we're going to use today. We're going to use Smoky Slate. And we're going to use and Crushed Curry. And actually, what I stamped the umbrella in Crushed Curry. But I am going to use Daffodil Delight blends to color the umbrella. But I use Crushed Curry. Okay, so the Smoky Slate, we are going to add some ice cubes. Now you can, so I'll tell you another way to add ice cubes in a second. So I'm going to bring our ice cubes in. So I'm going to stamp a Smoky Slate, stamp it off, and add it to our glass. Another way is that you could use Versamark, and you could emboss, and then use white embossing and make ice cubes also. So that's another way that you could do that. Just use Versamark and use white. But I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp in here. So you'll just barely see the ice cubes, but you can see them. Just like that. So you can see the ice cubes. So now what we're going to do, we are going to go ahead and bring in our sentiment. Whereas on our sample card, I just stamped, I did emboss Let's Celebrate, but we are going to go ahead and I embossed it at the bottom of our layer. So now I think I'm going to try just adding our Let's Celebrate. So I'm just going to add it on a little strip of Basic White. I'm going to bring my little buddy in to wipe off anything. And the sentiment strip is 1/2 by 2 3/4. Then I'm going to bring in Let's Celebrate. So we'll go ahead and ink that up in our Versamark. And I'm going to try to put that about right in the middle. And I like holding it down for just a little bit, so I'll make sure that I get good coverage. And then we're going to emboss this in our black. So I'm going to bring in our black, and I'm going to take a spoon. Then we want to put the lid back on. We do not need embossing powder everywhere. Let me reach down and grab the embossing. Turn it on. It's going to be kind of noisy. I like to let it heat up just a little bit. And we'll see if you can see the magic. this is kind of small. A little trick that I have is, because I don't want to burn my finger, is to just take a little clip, whatever you happen to have. There it goes. Hope you can see the magic. I love embossing. And then I didn't get the exclamation point. All right. And then I'm going to bring in a strip of basic black, the same, 1/2 by 2 3/4 that we'll use in just a little bit. Going to bring our layer back in, and we are going to go ahead and turn our glass over, and we're going to pop that up. Now, when you use the dies on this particular piece of designer series paper, if I use the glass die, it does not give a outline of the glass, whereas one page it does, but one it doesn't. So we're just going to place this right here, just like that. And then I am going to cut our lime in half, and then just use part of that for right here. So I'm going to add the little adhesive. On the glass, and then I am going to bring in smoky slate, and this is light smoky slate, and we are going to go ahead and color our little, it's not a straw, I guess a pick maybe. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in Daffodil Delight, and then we're just going to go ahead and color our umbrella. So again, I stamped the umbrella in crushed curry, and then I'm going to use my Daffodil Delight to kind of shade it in. Just like that. All right. And then we can just add that. Let's see where I want my umbrella. I think I want my umbrella. So I think what I would do is get a glue dot. Pick up a glue dot. And I'll just put that right there. And then we'll put our umbrella. That way we'll know what we're working with, right? Okay, so I think I want that about, yeah, maybe put it at an angle right there. So I'm going to put a dimension on each side of the umbrella. And I'm going to add just a little glue to this. There we go. Gotta be careful you don't add too much. And then I'm just going to kind of put that at an angle. All right. Hold that down for just a second. And now let's bring in our card base. and then we'll use this for placement. We want to, before we add it, we want to go ahead and place it on here, but we want to have room for our sentiment. So you have lots of choices for the sentiment, because you can, I think I kind of like do it like this, or you could just put it like here, but I think I like showing a little bit of the basic black on the left, kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to put some adhesive at the top here. Just like that. Turn that over, and then we can make sure we get it kind of straight. And we'll add some dimensionals. Just to make sure you don't get it too close to the edge, so you don't want it to show, right? You could put 3, but I think 2 would be fine. All right, let's go ahead and add our dimensionals on our pretty and pink layer. And again, 1 in each corner, 1 in the middle. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would love for you to go ahead and click that subscribe button. All right, let's go ahead, and these make such cute, fun cards. You can do so much with this set. And so I want to make sure that I have that down here. And then, so here I think what I think we can make it show just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and place the sentiment first. And I'm going to place it kind of close to the bottom, but trying to put the left and the right, kind of make it the same. Pop that up. And then we'll be able to place this right here. So you'll still have some designer series paper on the top and the 2 sides that will show. So we'll take the backings off. I'm kind of looking down here to kind of get this lined up, and then I want to leave that right there. And then let's bring in some of those embellishments. Whoop. So I like to kind of cut on the side and then just pull these out. But sometimes you have to kind of cut. Whoop. All right, and so you have small, medium, and large. So you have 3 sizes. And we're just going to go ahead and use the medium. And I'll just go ahead and put one right here. I did not use these for my sample card. I used some different gems. And then we'll put one right here. And one right there. So here is our fun card. Let's Celebrate. And we embossed. And then our sample card. So on our sample card, I stamped on our basic white layer that is cut at 5 1/4 by 4, and I stamped at the bottom, and then the DSP is cut shorter. So and I did stamp the ice cubes in both of those. So again, I use the designer series paper, and I just fussy cut the glass out. And let me show you on that particular paper. In the designer series paper, if you use this, it will cut out the glass, but it does not leave any white because this is wider than this is. So on this, if you want to use glasses here, you do need to fussy cut them. But on another, you have 2 sheets, another sheet in your designer series paper that has glasses. You can die cut some that don't have any, like this you couldn't, because, well, you could, but you just get partial of that lime or lemon there. But see, you could use it and cut this out. So there are some, and then you could cut this. So you could you could die cut some out using the designer series paper. But of course, you also have the stamp that you can stamp your glass and then use your die to cut it out. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed getting a sneak peek using the Cheers and Sips bundle and looking at the looking at the suite. And here are my cards for this week. So you can let me know whether you you like the sample card that I shared before we started, or did you like the card that we made together today? And again, I'm Terry Hartley at Rustic Barn Cards. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in May. I go live on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central. And if you're not on my newsletter list, that's the best way to find out what's going on at Rustic Barn Cards. Have a wonderful week. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.